Russ, previously the founder and CEO of FinTruth, an AI startup. Russ was also the managing director and global head of operation of Originate, a custom AI-enabled software company that's worked with many top Fortune 500 companies. He's held many executive leadership positions over the years and has advised many numerous technology companies. He's got an incredible track record of building, leading, and transforming and scaling innovative companies and high-performance teams. Russ, you are one of the busiest men I know. You are running at 100 miles an hour and full speed because you guys have a company that's really representing the bleeding edge in AI. We are so thrilled and honored to partner up with you, and very, very excited that you're here on this call. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. And I know it's on the dawn of U.S. Thanksgiving, and we certainly appreciate it. Those of us that are listening around the world. Russ, can you tell us what is AI? Tell us more about what AI is. And here's a simple question. And how is it different from a Siri or a Hey Google?
Sure. Yes, thank you so much. And thank you, Dr. Chen and everybody. Really appreciate the time to come in here and really love what everybody's doing. So I appreciate everybody taking the time. Yeah, so AI, in simple terms is just a technology designed to operate and mimic, humans. And the goal is to make the experience for what you're using and interacting, much easier. So, examples are understanding human speech, predicting outcomes, autonomously operating cars, doing simulations. AI systems aren't perfect. They learn over time and they have to adapt. They need a ton of data and processing. They store a ton of data as well, and they learn over time. So if you think of a child touching a hot stove, they get burned, they learn to not do that again, and that's very similar in a simple terms for AI. In regards to Siri and Apple, the biggest thing that kind of differentiates AI and AI Foundation from Siri is Siri works for Apple, right? So her goal is to make sure that you like your phone, you buy more Apple products. You are the product and they make money off you. Our perspective is that why can't we democratize AI, to all 7+ billion people, in the world? Why can't you own your own AI? It's your product. You deserve it. And so, like with Dexter, he works for you. His goal is to make you smarter and happier. Pays attention to your interests. Pays attention to your intentions. Learns about you personally. Adapts to you. And is your personal AI guide for your journey for better memory and recall. So, those are kind of the differences. We don't feel like we should own the data like a lot of these big Fortune 500 companies that I've worked with. We want to be an extension of really smart people and help people have a personalized experience and let them own that at their own accord.
Thanks, Russ. So in terms of AI, it's amazing because the AI could almost be smarter than the actual individual because his ability to load data, his intelligence, and his purpose is very well defined. In terms of Dexter is a very clear objective, and it's to help us learn. And the interesting about how AI has evolved and what your team has been able to do is not just deliver the content from that perspective, but create a personality and a learning experience that's never been done before. Because of AI, it's almost humanly realistic. Can you talk a little bit about that? How emotion-enabled AI helps create a very unique experience. It's almost like having a personal coach because none of us have any frame of reference to what Dexter can really do or will be able to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so behind the scenes, we have a ton of researchers, and researchers are the ones with math degrees that are much smarter than me, that are building out these models to simulate the human brain. And what we try to do is map these models that can get quite complex so that it understands and be able to react to things as a normal human being would. In addition to that, we have the engineers that obviously program what is done by those PhDs into the system. And then we have a whole visual team that represents taking the content, training that content into the AI or the puppet, as you see. And then the engineers work with the models that we have to be able to simulate the language as it comes in and interpret it. So as I speak to Rod right now, if it was AI on the other side, there's what's called ASR, which is automated speech recognition. So it's listening to what I'm saying, it's picking up, the different intonations. And then there's what's called natural language processing, and natural language processing makes sense of it. So you might have a sentence that says, I want to go to the store, and it picks up those things, but then it understands that you want to go to the store, so it asks you what store. So there's the intelligence in it. And so basically we've created a system to where you can take custom content, you can put it into that system, and we can structure that in such a way where it automatically recognizes what you're saying, it interprets that, and creates an action and a goal from that. And those things can be as simple as question and answers, and as complex as a full-on conversation with videos and other things.
And it's so different in terms of when you were talking about Siri. Siri is really just an extension of your hands touching an iPhone and telling Siri to dial a number for you or to go to the web for you, etc. And in the terms of what we're developing with AI, this is a truly interactive experience, again, with a purpose, with intent, that's catered to you to help you learn and deliver those type of results. So it's quite different between those two.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the biggest difference is, good software out there. We have some of the top developers in the world. Good software out there it solves a problem, it's usable, and it's beautiful, and we've seen a lot of those. But the new generation of software with artificial intelligence is connected and it's cognitive. So it learns about you, it learns your name, it learns your habits, but it's also cognitive. It learns what you want over time. It learns based on how you are as a person, what's going to make sense coming to the next time. And these are really, really complex problems to solve because it's mapping how the brain understands people as an individual. But to your point, the whole part of what we bring to the table is that cognition, is that connection on top of somebody else's training, and content. And, so Mr. Chin brings, his valuable insight as a guru within the memory training space with all the things that he has. We can add that cognition and that connection on top of it to make it come to life so that Dexter teaches that to an individual, and Mr. Chin doesn't have to do that one-on-one. Dexter can do it for him, but also go back into the loop and get that information and get smarter over time. And it's something it's definitely the future of technology. It's very hard though. You need amazing people behind it. And that's what we've been doing for the last 3 years, is building the core foundation to be able to do that.
Yes, and we've been hearing about AI for a number of years, haven't really seen it in a practical application that from a consumer standpoint. Now we're starting to realize that technology come to life. It's exciting for so many of us. Our limited exposure to AI is probably from movies like iRobot or Terminator or all these different things. But we're starting to see now that the true applications of AI are amazing. And it's really, again, doing things that we haven't been able to do before. It's able to scale in ways where a unique individual with incredible amounts of talent only has 24 hours in a day. And if you're able to duplicate that individual unlimited because you're using AI technology to create that digital twin, which is, your company's specialty. And that's why it's such a unique partnership. Who you guys are, what you guys have accomplished is understated, Russ. And I know you guys are truly humble because you're so result oriented. And I know the vision that you and Rob Meadows has as a company is truly to serve the world and bring this technology and apply it. We've had many discussions when we were forming this partnership about the greater good and why AI Foundation is really committed to bringing technology to really better people's lives. We want you to be a little, a little cocky because you guys never talk about your collaborations. And I know a lot of them are under non-disclosure and you can't mention the names of the people that you work with. But I will, without saying those names, know and have been exposed to, you guys work with world-class individuals, people that are some of the most influential people in the world. Can you share a little bit about AI Foundation and some of the collaborations that you've worked with that you're allowed to talk about?
Yeah, for sure. And you know, the main thing is when we started this, we had a vision of reaching all 7 billion plus uh, people in the world, to give them the power, but also the protection of artificial intelligence, because you know, artificial intelligence can be used for good, but it can also be used for bad. And so we wanted to make sure that we had both of those kind of visions and foundations in mind. And so AI Foundation has a nonprofit that helps fund other AI companies around the world that need money, as well as partnering with people to do things that are you know, more existential threats from around the globe. And then we have the commercial side, the for-profit side, that's building a lot of the AI that we're speaking of. And so, you know, when we came to our inception, we have quite a few great VCs behind us. One of the biggest ones we have is Founders Fund. That's Peter Thiel and Thiel Capital. And so they're great. They're out of LA now. So we have a lot of entertainment and celebrity folks that you know, not only on our board but also are helping us. We have Oprah's fund, which most people know who Oprah is, and quite a few entertainment, quite a few visual and marketing folks, because we're kind of in the middle of entertainment meets technology, because we want to make sure that our AI is personable and connects to people. So you can kind of see that in the founders that we have. And then one of our partners is Biz Stone, co-founder of Twitter. Very, very successful entrepreneur. He's kind of led us, you know, through many of our rounds, made introductions, and you know, loves what we're doing. In fact, we're trying to speak at a South by Southwest event in the United States, that we're basically having his AI talk to Lars, our CEO's AI, and do a full-scale interview with just their AI twins. So he's brought some great relationships there, and there's no shortage of them. In regards to the celebrities, we work with a ton. You know, one of the biggest ones that I can name is Deepak Chopra. He's within the space that I'm heading right now, and we're going to be releasing his first alpha. It was an alpha, but now it's going to be a soft beta launch, as the Deepak digital Deepak app. And he's a health and well-being guide, if you don't know who he is. And we've been working with him for the last several years, building out this revolutionary AI twin of his to help walk you through daily meditations, breathing. He can understand where you're at based on his 7 pillars and prescribe different learnings and teachings for you. He can call you up and make sure that you're meditating on time. He literally walks you through. We have videos of that. It's very exclusive content, but he gets to know you on a personal level. The whole goal is for you to get closer to the real Deepak, and that's really the goal of all of our applications. And so we've been working on that for about 2 years and put a lot of work into it. So that should be released in probably mid to in January of this next year. So we're pretty excited about that. And then we work with a lot of big enterprises out there. Microsoft is one of the biggest ones. We work on the nonprofit side. We built a product called Reality Defender, and that basically it detects and combats what we call deep fakes. So we can take people's faces, and with the same technology that we use to monitor emotions and basically create a 2D model into a 3D model, we could detect if something's fake out there. So if somebody takes Rod's face and puts it out there and says some bad things about people, we can actually detect that. And so we wanted to be able to combat a lot of this new technology that's coming out, and also keep us honest with the own technology that we're building. So we partner with Microsoft to build Reality Defender. It's a plugin for every browser, so that if you start to see videos out there as this technology becomes more powerful, which it will, you can actually detect, you know, fake content, so that you know it's not real. You can report it and we can take it down. So it's part of the nonprofit. But those are some of the ones that I can speak to, but certainly many more that we work with that are pretty exciting, doing some cool things coming up.
Thank you, Russ. And then again, for those that don't know, Peter Thiel, the founder of PayPal, multi-billionaire investor, certainly tons of credibility. And you've got Oprah Winfrey and her participation, and Biz Stone, co-founder of Twitter. These are the biggest names out there that see the potential, and not only of what AI can do, but certainly have got behind your group and your company, because you guys are the best in the world. So I'm thrilled, and thank you for sharing some of those collaborations.
Absolutely.
You guys are certainly the best of the best. So let me ask you a question here on how do you feel AI is going to revolutionize education?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because so I had a meeting today with our CEO and the head of our nonprofit and the head of Harvard um, online. And Harvard Business, is obviously a prominent name in the industry. And so we got to meet with the very head of the Harvard Business School online, and they're dealing with a lot of the same issues, in the education space, and they're looking to see how they can revolutionize the experience, taking the best of in-person training and education and online education. And it's something that obviously we're taking to market with Dexter, and it's interesting because they had 30,000 learners prior to the week that COVID hit. And then after, within a couple weeks, they had 900,000 people on their platform. And so it goes to show you how big a deal this is, this kind of digital first learning. And the interesting thing is they're looking at no more remote learning, like that's not a thing. It's more about global education now. So since you can access and teach people across the world, it's really a global education. And that's how we look at Dexter. So really starting to define the vision for democratizing education from people that have the great content is what we're looking to do. And education is at the center of everybody, including Harvard. So if that doesn't tell you how big a market this is, then then I don't know what else is comparable. So as we're looking at this, though, the education in general, the techniques there are, again, we're bringing the cognition, we're bringing the connection through AI. So we're able to learn about people in different groups. There's different types of kids that are going to be using the application. It helps find out about the student, how fast the student is learning, what they need to learn. It personalizes a study based on them. It creates an ability to define and adjust for the knowledge gaps that they might have. AI tailors the studies again to the student, but also builds this relationship with them. And a big thing you see across the spectrum right now is just emotion. There's a lot of bad emotions, and Mr. Chin, talked about his sister's story, which was very emotional for me, and such a insightful story about how this kind of thing can transform people's lives. And I'm seeing it across even campuses here of suicides and different things that are really horrific. And my own brother's school had a couple kids this last month commit suicide, and it's just there's a lot of things going on. So we want to not only use our products to be able to help people be in a better spot from a memory standpoint, a wellness standpoint, but also be able to connect with them, to feel like there's somebody to talk to. And I think we can do that at the same time. And it's a major, major thing that we bring, to the table, and we don't lose sight of that. So, being able to do that is customizing, listening, getting back to them in this way that we never could before through this interface that we have. And the high level benefits is 24/7 access. These people can jump on and talk to this at any time. You don't have to have a person there, but it feels like you have a partner there, and you have this access to learn. You have better engagement and less pressure on the user, so they don't feel like if they fail that it's the end of the world, because they can come back and they can do it again, and they can only do it in the way that we can do it with this interactive concept, as well as beginning to know them, speak to them by name, all these type of things. So that's what's more important to us, and that's why we're so excited about Dexter.
And you mentioned the one-on-one training. It's personalized. It's like you are with Dexter. Dexter is with you. He's your personal coach, mentor, teacher. Access to him 24/7. He cares about you. He wants you to succeed. And it's almost education with entertainment in a sense. And I want to take away from the message because the content is so good and so strong, but it's fun now, and it's non-intimidating, and it's like having like that personal coach or that tutor with you 24/7 with you. That could not
Yeah,
have been done without AI.
right. I mean, and that's again, it's entertainment meets technology, and why not make it fun and learn at the same time and feel good about it? And that's really where we're coming from. And you can, the current ways to do that is you can have a great teacher that is very fun and be in person, but there's limitations to that. Not only with the amount of teachers that are like that, but also just the ability with COVID right now. And then second, you can try to send some videos that are fun, but they're just one way. You're just listening to it just like you would watch a movie. But imagine combining those two into somebody's teaching and their personality and putting that into, a AI like Dexter. And not only are they getting that personality, but they're also being able to understand the person. They can talk to them, they can interact with them. And over time, that baby AI, just like, you learn to walk, you learn to crawl, you learn to run, it gets smarter over time. It learns about you over time. And then eventually it's your advocate that you really rely on. And it's powerful.
So that evolution of being in a classroom with 50 people, 200 people, 300 people in a college setting, which is at least better than watching it from a screen, and then having a one-on-one with the professor, which is very hard to replicate in that sense. Because of
Mm-hmm.
COVID, it's evolved into online classes. Again, you're just watching a screen. It's very static. It's not a dynamic, interactive experience. So this allows you to really have that professor with you 24/7 and interacting with you. You you talked about a statistic that's pretty profound. 30,000 online students in Harvard Business School, blowing up to 900,000. And this is
Yeah.
just one example. I think people don't realize the size of the market of online education. It is massive. And we're just talking in the United States. We're not even counting Asia. We're not counting Europe. You're not talking Canada. A lot of people, countless millions of people around the world have turned to online education, and not as a temporary fix, but it's becoming a standard, which moving forward will be something people are used to. And there are a ton of compromises with online education, right? That personalized learning experience does not exist. That uniqueness, that attention, certainly the interactivity, all of those are gone with online education, and AI solves a lot of these things. So
Mm-hmm.
I just want everyone here on this call to understand and appreciate the market is massive, and we're not here to have an AI teach a specific topic. This is what's interesting. We're not here to teach people math or biology or a certain skill. We're here to teach people how to learn. So what we're providing with Dexter is something we believe that everybody that is taking these online educational courses need. It's a foundational layer because again, Dexter's, we're not teaching you what to learn, it's how to learn. And throughout our lives, when we first met and we started this project and journey together, Russ, uh, we all know that we were never taught how to learn. We had to figure out the old school way. We had to learn linearly. We had to learn by repetition. We had to learn the old school way. And it was very frustrating. It's very tedious. It's very taxing. It's highly stressful. And now with these techniques that Dexter has, it's going to be more fluid. It's going to be fun. Your memory retention is completely enhanced, and your ability to learn at hyper speeds, all of those skills that you're going to be able to master through these courses, I believe it's going to fundamentally change your life. Which uniquely to say, Dexter is so cute, and people think, it's really for kids. I believe it's certainly, without a doubt, for everybody. It's for adults. It's for university kids. It's for younger children. It really spans that demographic, and the content we're building for Dexter is going to hit both of that. We're going to have a children's version and also an adult version. So
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because you mentioned the you've always been taught what to learn, not how to learn. I mean, that's the easiest since we met and went over this. That's the pitch inside the company. That's the pitch to all of our investors, our high profile investors and partners. And it's funny when you say that to every one of them, like we've always been taught what to learn, not how to learn. And these people have gone to the most prestigious colleges in the world. They're some of the smartest people in the world. And they take a step back and go, yeah, like, and I'm like, how should you learn, and they don't have an answer for it, but my answer is, well, Dexter will teach you how to learn and do it with AI. And so that's why it's a pretty easy thing for them to get excited about. And obviously their children and everybody else, it's just such an advantage. And, our staff has embraced it. We can't wait to do it ourselves. And, it's such a big market out there, but it does so much good for people, because people that might not have access to, some other things that other people do can still be able to access this program and be able to succeed far more than they used to in life, which is amazing.